Welcome to The Explainer. We talk a lot about AI, but today we're diving into one of its absolute toughest challenges, making it actually work for the incredibly complex world of legal data. We're going to look at how one company is tackling this problem head on and what it really teaches us about the future of AI infrastructure for, well, all of us. Okay, so let's get right into it. Why is this so hard? Isn't it just a fancy chatbot? Well, no. It's not just about understanding language. It's about navigating a whole universe of dense, interconnected, and frankly, super high-stakes information. To really see what that means, we're going to follow a real-world company, Harvey AI, that builds these kinds of tools for top-tier law firms. So Harvey's whole mission is to build AI assistants that help lawyers do their job. Analyzing documents, doing research, even drafting legal text. But the kind of data they have to chew through, it is on a completely different planet compared to your average AI app. And just think about the variety here. On one end of the spectrum, you've got lawyers just uploading a few dozen documents for a quick analysis. Simple enough. In the middle, you get these things called vaults, basically massive data rooms for a single huge case or corporate deal, stuffed with thousands of contracts and emails. And then you get to the largest scale. And this right here, this is the ultimate challenge. They call them data corpuses. And what that really means is like the entire legal and regulatory library of a whole country. We're talking tens of millions of super dense documents, case law, tax codes, regulations that all have to be understood together as one giant system. So this massive scale and complexity creates what you could call a gauntlet of challenges for any AI, but especially for one using retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. Yeah, that's the whole idea where the AI has to go find the right info before it can even start to generate an answer. And in the legal world, that retrieval process gets pushed to its absolute breaking point. And the thing is, these challenges, they don't hit you one at a time. Nope. It's more like a perfect storm. You've got the insane scale, the Fort Knox level data security, the deep legal jargon, and how do you even grade the AI's homework to know if it's right? But the real kicker, as you're about to see, is just how complex the questions are. So, to make this real, just look at this query. And get this, the folks at Harvey say this isn't some crazy one-off example. This is what an average question from a lawyer looks like. Just wow. It's a total beast, right? So how in the world does an AI even begin to tackle that? Well, it can't just do one simple thing. It's got to do multiple things at once. It has to understand the meaning of a phrase like applicable regime. Then it needs to do a super precise keyword search for that exact ID number. Then it has to apply a strict date filter. And on top of all that, it has to connect all of it to a totally separate article. It's a multi-headed monster of a search. And this right here is where things get really interesting, because that kind of query completely shatters traditional data infrastructure. You just can't toss a standard vector database at this thing and hope for the best. It'll fall flat on its face. You have to go back to square one and rethink the very foundation. So this was the million-dollar question for Harvey, right? How do you possibly build a system that can run this gauntlet of challenges? Not just once, but reliably at scale. This problem led them to team up with a company called LanceDB to build a totally new kind of foundation, one designed from the ground up for these unique AI workloads. They realized they didn't just need a better vector database. They needed something way more fundamental. They needed what's called an AI-native multimodal lakehouse. Okay, I know, that is a mouthful, but stick with me because the idea behind it is actually super powerful. It's a single unified home for every single piece of data the AI needs. The vectors, the original text, all the metadata, even images or audio, all living together in one place. So what's the big idea here? It all comes down to radical simplification. Instead of trying to manage a bunch of different, separate systems, one for vectors, one for text, one for metadata, which is a total nightmare to keep in sync, you just create a single source of truth for everything. And this comparison just lays it all out, plain and simple. Most AI teams today are stuck living in that world on the left, this constant headache of gluing different systems together. The model on the right, the LanceDB way,
puts all that data into a single table. This means the engineers can stop being plumbers and actually focus on building the AI application itself.
So, what's the secret sauce here? Well, it's a new open source technology called the Lance format. And for any of you who are deep in data engineering, this quote is going to make a lot of sense. It basically takes the best ideas from modern data tools, like the columnar storage of Parquet and the table management of Iceberg, but rebuilds them from the ground up for the kind of data AI uses today, like vectors. And what you get with this new foundation is exactly what you need to beat that legal gauntlet. It can handle massive scale. It's way more cost-effective because it uses cheap cloud storage. And here's the kicker. It gives you that super flexible retrieval we talked about, the power to mix and match vector search, keyword search, and all those complex filters, all in one shot. Okay, so we've been deep in the weeds on the legal frontier of AI. What are the big lessons we can take away from all this for anyone out there trying to build serious AI apps? Well, the folks who built this system really boil it down to 3 crucial things. So what does this all really mean for you? First, for these tough domain-specific problems, you can't just use off-the-shelf stuff. You've got to get creative and really tailor your solutions. Second, everything in AI is changing so fast, you absolutely have to build for flexibility and iteration. And third, we have to face it. As AI gets more complex, the old data infrastructure just won't cut it anymore. It's time for something new. You know, this whole case study from the legal world, it's really a glimpse into the future. It shows us what's possible when you rethink the entire data stack for AI. But it also leaves us with a huge question, and not just for law, but for finance, for medicine, for science, for every complex field that AI is about to transform. Is our infrastructure actually ready for what's coming? Thanks for joining this explainer.